Goodbye, Alfie. Goodbye, nothing. We're gonna stick together. One for all and all for one.
Released as 220 short films between 1922 and 1944, Our Gang, known to television audiences as the Little Rascals, featured over 40 child actors across 2 decades. The faces most people remember came from the 1930s: Spanky, Alfalfa, Darla, Buckwheat, and their gang of neighborhood kids. Hal Roach, the man who created them, lived to 100 and outlived almost all of them. So what really happened to the cast? George Spanky McFarland was born on October 2nd, 1928, in Dallas, Texas, the son of a loan company manager. His aunt sent photographs from his baby modeling portfolio to a Hal Roach Studios trade advertisement requesting pictures of cute kids in 1931, and the response led to a screen test. At the age of 3, Spanky appeared in his first Our Gang short, Free Eats, and was almost immediately a star. He stayed in the series for 13 years, longer than any other cast member, appearing in 95 of the shorts and the feature film General Spanky, 1936. His comic timing, his double takes, his perpetual air of a small man with large problems. All of it was his own, though Stan Laurel taught him how to do the double and triple takes that became his signature. At 16, Spanky was finished acting, and Hollywood had no use for a teenage version of what he had been as a child. He served in the Air Force, then returned to civilian life, and could not find work in show business. He sold soft drinks in a plant, worked a popsicle factory, operated a hamburger stand, and a barbecue restaurant in Oklahoma City. He hosted a children's television show in Tulsa, Oklahoma through the late 1950s, but station executives wouldn't let him expand it. He sold wine, furniture, appliances, and eventually joined Philco Ford in their commercial contract division, selling televisions to hotels and motels, working his way to national sales training director. In 1984, he and fellow alumnus Jackie Cooper presented an honorary Oscar to 92-year-old Hal Roach at the Academy Awards. Spanky told Roach, "The nicest thing that ever happened to me was when you gave me my first job 52 years ago." Michael Jackson, a devoted Our Gang fan, visited Spanky at his Dallas area home in 1984. The two discovered that their families had lived in the same Los Angeles house decades apart. Spanky's final television appearance was a cameo as himself in an episode of Cheers in April 1993. He died of a heart attack on June 30th, 1993, in Grapevine, Texas, at the age of 64. His Hollywood Walk of Fame star was unveiled posthumously 4 months later. Carl Alfalfa Switzer was born on August 7, 1927, in Paris, Illinois, the youngest of 4 children on a farm. He and his older brother Harold were performing at local auctions and county fairs when the family visited California in 1934. They wandered onto the Hal Roach Studios lot and, finding no way to get inside properly, stood outside the commissary at lunch hour and started singing. Hal Roach heard them. He signed them both on the spot. Harold faded into the background of the series. Carl became Alfalfa, the freckle-faced boy with the cowlick that would not lie flat, the one in love with Darla, the one who sings off-key because the arrangements are always written just beyond his range, producing a wavering falsetto that is funny because it is so earnest and so wrong. By 1937, Alfalfa had surpassed Spanky as the most popular character in the series. Their fathers, meanwhile, argued constantly in the background about their son's screen time and salaries. Carl's best friend on set was Tommy Bond, the boy who played his on-screen enemy Butch. After leaving the series at 12, Carl Switzer had small supporting roles in films through the 1940s, including a bit in It's a Wonderful Life in 1946 as Freddie Othello, the boy who gets displaced when George Bailey starts dancing with Mary and takes his revenge by opening the gym floor to reveal the swimming pool underneath. He also had a part in Going My Way, 1944, and reprised a version of the Alfalfa character in a low-budget series called Gas House Kids in 1946 and 1947. But the roles thinned. He became a dog breeder and hunting guide in rural California. He married in 1954, had a son, and divorced in 1957. He was mysteriously shot in the arm in January 1958 while sitting in his car outside a bar. The shooter was never identified. In December of that year, he was arrested for illegally cutting trees in the Sequoia National Forest to sell as Christmas trees and placed on probation. Broke, he went with a friend on the night of January 21st, 1959, to the home of an associate named Moses Stilts to collect what he believed was a $50 debt owed to him from a lost hunting dog. A fight broke out. Stilts shot him in the groin. Carl Switzer bled out before reaching the hospital. He was 31 years old. The shooting was ruled justifiable homicide. He was buried the same day as Cecil B. DeMille, and his death received almost no notice in the newspapers. Darla Hood was born on November 8, 1931, in Leedy, Oklahoma, the only child of a banker and a music teacher. Her mother took her to dancing lessons in Oklahoma City, then to New York City just after her 3rd birthday. The story goes that a band leader at the Edison Hotel in Times Square pulled the 4-year-old onto the stage on a lark, she sang, and the crowd roared. By chance, Joe Rivkin, a casting agent for Hal Roach Studios, was in the room. He signed her. She plays Darla, the girl with the big voice and the bigger smile, the one every boy in the gang is trying to impress, who has the patience to watch Alfalfa serenade her badly, and the grace to respond with something that reads as affection rather than pity. After leaving the series at 10, Darla Hood attended Fairfax High School in Los Angeles and formed a vocal group, Darla Hood and the Enchanters, who did background music for Hollywood productions. She performed in nightclubs, the Coconut Grove, the Copacabana, the Sahara in Las Vegas. She had a hit single in 1957, I Just Wanna Be Free. She became the voice of the mermaid in the Chicken of the Sea Tuna television commercials, which ran for years and gave her a comfortable living. She dubbed audio for feature films and television. She married twice and had 3 children. She made clear in interviews that her parents had never given her a penny of her Our Gang earnings. Of the little girl in the films, she said, "The only thing is that the little girl up there on the screen, me, was a total stranger, as though I had never seen her before." In mid-1979, she was organizing the 1980 Little Rascals reunion for the Los Angeles chapter of the Sons of the Desert when she went to Canoga Park Hospital for a routine appendectomy. The transfusion she received during the procedure was contaminated with hepatitis. She died of heart failure on June 13, 1979, at the age of 47. The reunion she had been planning went on without her. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a new Where Are They Now video. We release them every week. Billy Buckwheat Thomas was born William Thomas Jr. on March 12, 1931 in Los Angeles. His mother brought him to Hal Roach Studios to audition when he was 3 years old. On October 10, 1934, exactly 46 years to the day before he would die, he plays Buckwheat, the youngest and most loyal of the gang's core members, the one who follows Porky everywhere. In 1935, the Buckwheat character transitioned from female to male when the previous actress left, and Billy Thomas wore the character from that point through the end of the series in 1944, 10 years in total. He was the only cast member to appear in all 52 of the MGM-era shorts, and the only holdover from the Hal Roach era to stay to the very end. He always defended his work, noting that Buckwheat and the other black children in the series were portrayed as equals to the white children, genuinely unusual for American popular entertainment during the Jim Crow era. After the series ended, Billy Thomas served in the U.S. Army from 1954 to 1956, earning a National Defense Service Medal. He was offered many acting roles after his discharge and turned all of them down. After the Army, I wasn't really interested in the hassle of performing, he explained. Even the big stars had to chase around and audition. It seemed like a rat race to me, with no security. He became a film lab technician at Technicolor in Hollywood, processing negative reels for features including Jaws. In the summer of 1980, he appeared at a Little Rascals reunion at the Los Angeles Hilton and received a spontaneous standing ovation from the crowd. He was moved to tears. He died of a heart attack in his Los Angeles apartment on October 10, 1980, exactly 46 years to the day after his first audition, at the age of 49. In 1990, a decade after his death, ABC's news magazine 2020 aired a segment featuring a man in Arizona who claimed to be the adult Buckwheat. Spanky McFarland personally contacted every media outlet he could reach to correct the record. Matthew Stymie Beard was born on January 1, 1925, in Los Angeles, the same birthday as his father, a founding pastor of the Beloved Church of God in Christ. He was one of 14 children. His parents brought him to Hal Roach in the summer of 1930, and director Robert McGowan, who was regularly stymied by little Matthew's wandering curiosity around the studio, gave him the character's name on the spot. He was supposed to be named Hercules. He plays Stymie, the self-assured con artist of the gang, the boy with the enormous derby hat, a gift from Stan Laurel, who was fascinated by him, who always has a sly comment ready and always seems to understand the situation better than anyone else. McGowan later said Stymie was his favorite of all the Our Gang children. After leaving the series in 1935, Matthew Beard appeared in feature films through the 1940s, but by high school he had retired from acting. He has described knowing even as a child that the name Stymie was an insult to his race, but noting that it was the Depression and he had 13 siblings to help support. As a teenager and young adult, he fell into heroin addiction and petty crime, crime, cycling in and out of jail for most of the 1940s and 1950s. In the 1960s, he staggered into Synanon, a California rehabilitation community, and stayed for years. After leaving Synanon, he rebuilt his life, appearing in guest roles on Good Times, Sanford and Son, and Maude, and traveling the country giving drug awareness lectures to young people. He wore his famous derby hat for the rest of his life. In 1978, he appeared in the Buddy Holly story wearing it. He suffered a stroke on January 3rd, 1981, 2 days after his 56th birthday, fell down a flight of stairs and struck his head, and was found unconscious in the motel room where he was living. He died of pneumonia on January 8th, 1981. He was buried with the derby hat. Eugene Porky Lee was born on October 25, 1933 in Fort Worth, Texas, adopted. His adoptive mother sent his photograph to Hal Roach Studios because of his remarkable resemblance to the already famous George McFarland, who was also from Texas. He was 18 months old. The Lee family traveled to California, and Porky joined the gang at age 2 as Spanky's little brother, wearing overalls and a hat, waddling after the bigger kids. He plays Porky, the smallest and most sincere of the group, the one who genuinely does not understand what is happening most of the time, whose friendship with Buckwheat is the series' most purely tender relationship. He also invented the Ote catchphrase, though Buckwheat would later make it famous, first saying it in the 1936 short Pay As You Exit. He was replaced in 1939 by Robert Blake because he had grown too fast and too tall. At age 5, he was the same height as his 10-year-old older brother. After leaving the series, Eugene Lee, who later took the name Gordon Lee after his favorite Our Gang director Gordon Douglas, stepped away from acting entirely. For years, he told no one about his past. He eventually became a history teacher, first in Texas, then in Colorado. Spending decades in education, he told a fellow teacher the truth in 1971 and slowly began reconnecting with his history. In the early 1980s, he started appearing at Little Rascals reunions and launched Otai products, selling licensed Porky merchandise. He tried to reconnect with Billy Thomas, his best friend from the series, but Thomas had already died. He retired to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to be near his son Douglas. He died of lung and brain cancer on October 16, 2005, 9 days before what would have been his 72nd birthday. Tommy Butch Bond was born Thomas Ross Bond on September 16, 1926, in Dallas, Texas. A Hal Roach talent scout spotted him on a Dallas street at age 5, walking with his mother, and told them he had a great face. He plays Butch, the neighborhood bully, the boy with the jutting lip and the permanent scowl who is always looking for a fight, always trying to steal Darla from Alfalfa, always the antagonist. Off-screen, Carl Switzer was his closest friend. Bond himself was cheerful, gentle, and nothing like the character he played. His relationship with the role was simple. Neither of us could replace the other. He was also, in 1948, the first actor ever to play Jimmy Olsen on screen in 2 Superman film serials, before turning the role down for the television series. After leaving the series, Tommy Bond served in the Navy in World War II and then graduated from college. He quit acting in 1951 and moved into television production and directing, working for decades behind the camera with producers, including Norman Lear and George Schlatter. He co-wrote an autobiography in 1994, Darn Right, It's Butch, Memories of Our Gang / the Little Rascals. He continued making appearances at conventions and reunions, and his final film role was a bit part in 2004. He died of heart disease on September 24, 2005, in Northridge, California, at the age of 79. He was buried at Riverside National Cemetery. Scotty Beckett was born Scott Hastings Beckett on October 4, 1929, in Oakland, California. His father was recovering from illness at Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Los Angeles, and the 3-year-old Scotty would visit and entertain the other patients by singing songs in Pig Latin. The casting director heard him and told his parents he had movie potential. His father died that same year. He plays Scotty, Spanky's wry, streetwise best friend in the early 1930s, the boy with the crooked baseball cap worn sideways and the oversized shoulder-bearing sweater, whose trademark look was modeled on Jackie Coogan's costume in The Kid. His tenure was brief, from 1934 to 1935, but vivid. After leaving Our Gang, he went on to roles in major Hollywood productions including Dante's Inferno, Conquest with Greta Garbo, Marie Antoinette, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and King's Row. He played Al Jolson as a boy in The Jolson Story, 1946. After the adult roles dried up, Scotty Beckett began a long decline. Drunk driving, bad checks, possession charge, a car accident, 2 failed marriages, a suicide attempt in 1962. At one point, he studied to become a doctor. Later, he drove an ambulance. He was arrested multiple times. In 1967, he found work driving an ambulance, which he may have taken because of the prescription drugs to which he had become addicted. In May 1968, he checked himself into the Royal Palms Hotel, a Hollywood nursing home, following a severe beating whose circumstances were never explained. He was found dead in his room on May 10, 1968. A note and sleeping pills were found nearby. The Los Angeles County coroner performed an autopsy autopsy and declared the cause of death unknown. He was 38 years old. Darwood Waldo Kay was born Darwood Kenneth Smith on September 8, 1929, in Fort Collins, Colorado. His family was on vacation in Hollywood in 1935 when he was spotted and brought in for a screen test. He plays Waldo, the bespectacled, priggish rich boy, the one who arrives in a suit when everyone else is in dungarees, who competes with Alfalfa for Darla's attention by being better groomed and worse at everything that actually matters, who is exactly as insufferable as a child from a wealthy family is supposed to be. The character is pure comedy, and Kay played him with a straight face throughout. After appearing in Our Gang from 1937 to 1940 and a handful of feature films, Darwood Kay retired from acting as a teenager and converted to the Seventh-day Adventist faith. He graduated from La Sierra University, a Seventh-day Adventist college, and married fellow student Jean Venden in 1951. He earned a master's degree in ministry and was ordained as a pastor. In 1957, the family moved to Thailand, then Siam, where he did missionary work for 17 years, raising 4 sons there, all of whom became pastors. He returned to California and ministered at churches in Southern California through the 1990s. His life was told in the 2009 book Finding Waldo, From Little Rascal to Adventist Pastor, written by his son David. On May 15, 2002, Kay was hit by a vehicle in a hit-and-run crash while walking on Arlington Avenue in Riverside, California. He died that evening at Riverside Community Hospital at the age of 72. The driver was never identified. Robert Blake was born Michael James Gubatosi on September 18, 1933, in Nutley, New Jersey, to a pair of vaudeville performers who billed their 3 children as the 3 Little Hillbillies. Family moved to Los Angeles in 1938, and the children were sent on auditions. Blake has described his childhood as one of sustained physical and sexual abuse by both parents. He was locked in closets and forced to eat from the floor. He was expelled from school for fighting. He plays a character known only as Mickey in the final years of Our Gang, filling the vacancy left when Porky Lee grew too fast, a scrappy, earnest kid who tags along while clearly being made of tougher material than the others. He would later describe his entire experience on the series as forced child labor. He left the series in 1944 at age 10, adopted the name Bobby Blake, then Robert Blake, and kept working. As an adult, Robert Blake eventually became a serious actor. He played the boy who sells Humphrey Bogart a lottery ticket in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1948, a small but unforgettable scene. He played murderer Perry Smith in Cold Blood, 1967, a career-defining performance that Richard Brooks received 2 Oscar nominations for directing. He won the Emmy Award in 1975 for Beretta, the street detective series he starred in on ABC from 1975 to 1978. He appeared in David Lynch's Lost Highway in 1997 as an uncanny figure called the Mystery Man, a role that functions almost as a premonition. On May 4, 2001, Blake's second wife, Bonnie Lee Backley, was shot to death in the passenger seat of his car outside a Studio City restaurant. Blake was arrested and charged with her murder. After a criminal trial that stretched through late 2004 and into 2005, he was acquitted by the jury. A civil jury subsequently found him liable for her death and ordered him to pay her family $30 million, a judgment that sent him into bankruptcy. His daughter with Backley, Rose, was raised by other relatives and for years called him Robert, not Dad. He spent the last years of his life in relative isolation. He died of heart disease on March 9, 2023, at his Los Angeles home at the age of 89. Hal Roach wanted to film children as they actually were, not miniature adults performing adult material, but real kids improvising through real situations. Some were crushed by the weight of having been famous at 4, some never noticed it at all. All of them at some point were just children making each other laugh on a studio lot in Culver City for Hal Roach's camera and for anyone who wanted to watch. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest Where Are They Now? Videos exploring your favorite casts from the past.